Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mary. We are on card number 5 in this series with Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to show you this card is one of my best efforts at a one-layer card. I don't usually do them. There's always got to be some kind of pop-up embellishment, and there still is in here, so define one-layer card as you want. For me, it means not a shaker. It means not 3 layers or popping up too much dimension. So I'm going to show you a couple techniques on this card, and I'm pulling out different elements besides the main floral arrangement stamp in this stamp set because I wanted to see if there was anything else I could do with it. And so what I'm doing is I am arranging this foliage. I think these might even be lilacs that I stamped first. They look sort of lilac-y to me, but for this purpose of this card, they're going to all be green. And so I've stamped out, masked over them to stamp the leaves on the bottom. Then I'm going in with my purple, and I'm just adding flowers all over that the arrangement. I'm cutting a lot of the video out just so I can kind of get to each step, give you a little snippet of each step that I'm going through. So each of these that I've stamped out have been stamped in different colors. I have a lot of ink spots from Stampin' Up! From years ago, and so I'm just pulling those out and picking different colors to use. And now I've added the last touch, which was the circle in that stamp set, the little tiny circle. So I've got my Prismacolor pencils here, and I've picked the first set of greens. They're going to be a brighter green, and I've picked 3 different tones. So once I start coloring in this image, this whole entire panel, it really starts to come to life. So I think these are the types of images that, for me, I wanted to fill up the page, a lot of color. Really, it's not any rainbow effect or anything like that, but lots of greens, and then I fill in the purples and the pinks. So the 3 colors I'm using here, I'm just blending back and forth. With Prismacolors, you want to lay down layer by layer by layer. If I go in with the first color and I push too hard and I make it too waxy, then I can't blend it with the other colors as well. And so there by the power of video on YouTube, I've skipped ahead to the next step. Next, I'm taking 3 different colors in more of an olive kind of green, and I'm going to, so more of like that yellowish, deeper olive color green. And so I'm going in and I'm making my leaves all that set of colors. Very simple, again, going through layer by layer. I do the darkest in the middle, very light-handedly, and then I go out with the lightest color on the ends. So then I go back to the middle to make the dark, then the middle color, then the end. And so I've just blend that out to make it nice and smooth. Moving on to my little flowers here, I'm using 2 purples that are very, very similar. There's hardly any shading. There's a tiny bit of shading. You can see the difference. Darker on top, lighter on the bottom. And then lastly, just 1 shade of pink. I'm going in to fill in all those little circles. So this card, I've looked at it, and I really can't see the rhyme or reason of why I've stamped things out the way that I did. I don't know. I just kind of went with the creative moment. So I wasn't trying for anything specific. I was just having fun. Okay, so I am doing a technique here because I need to color my cardstock in blue, and because I like the way this looks. I'm going in with a Versamark pen, and I'm filling in each and every single one of these images over the colored pencil with the Versamark pen. Then I'm using clear embossing powder to pour over it, and I do this with the entire panel. I'm only going to show you the one side here, the right side of the card, because it would take too much time. And I'm doing the same redundant thing over and over again. So I'm covering it with embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that. Now that pops up, of course, as heat embossing does, and it makes it shiny and shimmery, and you'll see in the still shots and in the end really what kind of effect you get from doing this technique. I did forget to color in the line of that first image I stamped, and so I took one of these green markers from last month's kit, and I'm going through, and I believe it was last month's, and I'm just lining that out. I have my sentiment here, congratulations, on my Misty, and I'm going to place that so that I get perfect placement using Versamark Onyx black ink rather, and I am going to be able to I'm using this ink because I want to be able to heat set this as well. Now I am going to be putting ink, oxide ink, all over this background of this panel. So I'm going to want to make sure that I heat emboss and heat set that so it doesn't smear into my project. Okay, so I heat set that off camera, and now I'm going in with my broken china oxide, and I'm covering all of the white that I see. The beauty of what I've done already is it's not going to cover the color. The color has been protected underneath the heat embossing, just as any emboss resist technique that we do. So you think about that when you have images that you want to color and then make shiny anyway, you could use this technique and you could be able to cover color over them. Now, I like that because I have the liquid mask, and although I've seen it work, and it does work, I feel like it's very risky for me. And so I'll use it if I have to, but more times than not, I probably would prefer to pop up my images over the coloring that I've done or something else. However, that is an option, and this is an option too. So I don't know if you saw me, but I took a microfiber cloth and I wiped down after I finished coloring that in. And I added clouds to the background as well of this image. And one of the last things I do here, I do 2 more steps. I add a drop of Nuvo crystal drops, carnation pink, all over the middle of those purple flowers. And then the last step is some Pretty Pink Posh dewdrops embellishments. Now, I've been asked if they come in a mix of sizes, and they do not. You have to buy them in 2 different sizes to get that mix, just FYI. And here is the finished card. You'll see from the close-up here the shine and just the beautiful coating that you get with this technique, as well as those Nuvo dewdrops or Nuvo crystal drops really add a lot of pop to this one layer, quote, quote, card. So I hope you like the card. Thank you so much for joining me. All the supplies I use will be listed below, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can see more with me. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.